Thank you for joining me and for watching this update on my campaign to save Kenneth Barron, who is an innocent man in prison in Delaware's Howard R. Young Correctional Facility. I posted a very short update earlier this morning and just wanted to expand on that a little bit. At this point in time, Ken has been in jail since August 11th. He's an innocent man whose public defender refused to prepare for trial. The prosecutor committed many acts of misconduct, and he was promised a no contest plea that would keep him out of jail. Well, when he got there, it was a total circus at the courthouse. So, anyway, I got there early, like I'm supposed to, and took in my car keys. I took in my ID. A little bit worried about what I was wearing because the restrictions are pretty strict. They obviously don't want men away from their loved ones to get overexcited, by someone coming in a bikini top or whatever. So I got in there, didn't take my cane, so it was a little bit difficult walking in. I did park in the handicap part of the officer's lot, but because in Delaware, young women with children believe that entitles them to park in handicap spots, I did still have to walk quite a ways. But anyway, so I get back there to see Ken. First thing I noticed is that he had the hugest smile on his face. He thought I had abandoned him and gone to Oklahoma, which nothing is further from the truth. Ken, I'm fighting my best, strongest battle to get you home where you belong. Next thing I noticed is he was in a manual wheelchair, which he is unable to push by himself. He has really bad problems with his grip strength. He's been in physical therapy, which he, of course, is not receiving in jail. So he's losing what little strength we had managed to build up after spending thousands of dollars on physical therapy in the last few months. He is on a very restricted diet. We don't eat red meat because it causes health problems for both of us, and his cholesterol, as I have said earlier, is in the 800 range, so we can't even get the ratio between the good and the bad. I have put money on his commissary. I've put about $90 on the commissary, which is the account the inmates can use, and also I've put another small amount on his phone account, which it costs $1.15 for a 15-minute phone call. All right. So when the inmate goes in, they're given a band that looks like a hospital band, and on that is something called their inmate ID. It's a pin for them to get in and order things from the commissary, food, hygiene, supplies, clothing, whatever. It's something that they can use to make phone calls to loved ones, and it is something that when you go to visit, he's behind one side of a glass window, I'm on the other, and he has to key his PIN in order for us to have a conversation. Well, because his PIN was not activated, Ken and I could not exchange a spoken word during the visit today, which is okay. I still got to see him. I got to see the smile on his face and know that even though he's not doing very well, he is still alive. And I'm a little bit less worried about his immediate death, but I am concerned about his long-term ability to survive in the Delaware correctional system. So I got to answer all of his questions. I tried to keep it really upbeat, keep him in good spirits. One of the problems with Delaware correction system is that a loved one is only allowed to visit one time per week. So this morning I was able to call in and set up an appointment for next Sunday. I cannot visit him until Sunday the 3rd, I think it is. So I won't see him until September. I think that's wrong because, people in prison are still people, and when they come out, they need to have a support system. They need to have a place to live. They need to know their family still loves them, that they're still a human being. And if we deny them contact, if we treat them like scum of the earth, then they're not going to be able to fit back into society, and they're going to turn to crime. The other thing is he's still in extreme pain, and I know my husband. I know there are signs just by the way he holds his head, by the smell of his skin, by the color of his skin, his facial expressions. I know when my husband is in unbearable pain, and today was one of those days. So in prison, they don't provide pain management. My husband is a legal registered medical marijuana cardholder in the state of Delaware. And medical marijuana has proven to be the only medication that will control the extreme pain of hyperpathia. So bad that he can't even stand to have the air from a ceiling fan, or, the touch of a blanket on him at times. His ankle is still swelling very badly. I am going to try to get him a compression sock, which will help keep the pain down, and also the limited ambulatory ability that he does have, it'll help increase that. So I don't know what I'm going to have to do to get a compression sock to my husband in jail, but I'm going to work on that. Because even though I've put roughly $100 right now on his commissary, they're denying him access to it. He hasn't been able to buy any food to supplement the diet. He hasn't been able to buy any hygiene supplies. Those of you who know Ken know that he's a very handsome man who's always taken, not inordinate, but a great deal of pride in his appearance, wanting to be neat and clean, present a professional appearance. And for him to have greasy hair, he's unable to shave because of the aspirin that he's on as a blood thinner daily will cause him to bleed, so he can't shave his face anymore. So because of that, he's grown a beard, but that requires some conditioning and some other things that will make it possible where it doesn't itch him constantly. So, that's a little thing, but it's bothering him. It's a loss of dignity. About halfway through the visit, one of the corrections officers, who was very nice, young lady, actually brought him a couple pieces of paper and a pencil. So at that point, communication became a little bit easier. He still couldn't hear what I said. I could only pantomime it. I could try to talk, but I don't know if you've noticed, but my mouth is kind of deformed now. That's part of the Klippel-Feil syndrome, where the bones in my body are disintegrating, and I'm not the best person to be an example for reading lips. But we still managed to communicate. We tried throughout the call, and it did not work, and I was not allowed to move, to another phone to see if that worked. So now, because I unwittingly set an appointment up for almost 2 weeks from now, it'll be 2 weeks until I see my husband, I am going to try to reach out to everybody I can today to get him access to his commissary funds. In leaving, I asked some of the young women who were visiting family if this was a problem that they experienced, and they said, yeah, it's very common. So I've worked in banking for many years, and one thing I know is that there are things called sweep accounts, and if you take money and you put it in an account overnight, the amount of interest generated before you deposit it the next day is horrendous. I mean, you can become rich from it. And it's one of the cash management techniques that are provided to large corporations. So here we have these private companies that are facilitating commissary funds and communication funds and everything else for prisoners, charging a very high price. But they're also, what they're doing is they're taking that money and they're holding it sometimes for a few weeks. If that money is put into a sweep account, think of how much money they are making on the backs of, again, some of the people in America who are least able to afford it. To me, that's disgraceful. It's something that definitely needs attention. Because I use my credit card, a MasterCard, to put the money on there. It's now been over a week, and that money has not shown up on his commissary. I will begin fraud steps against them with my bank, saying that here I made a transaction. I have written verification that this funding would be available on Thursday. This is now Monday, and the funds are not available. That, to me, is a fraudulent act by GTL, the Connect Network owner. So we'll see what that does. Maybe if enough people step up and start complaining to their credit card companies, that these companies may lose the ability to accept funding, and what they'll have to do is find a replacement who's a little bit more honorable in the way that they're treating our inmates. Lots more happened. My mind is still spinning. I've got a lot I need to do. Among that is contacting the governor, contacting the Department of Corrections, contacting my state representative, contacting my state senator to find out why my husband is not getting access to his commissary when it's been put on there. So he is now close, rapidly losing weight as a diabetic. His blood sugars are very unstable because he doesn't have enough to eat, because the money that I know he could not eat the heart healthy soy diet, which is something that they give them, or the regular diet. The soy diet is soy products. They call it a heart healthy diet, but one of the things that it does is drastically lower testosterone levels. If you followed my post, you will know that my husband tested at a testosterone level of 97. The normal male testosterone level, I think, is between 400 and 800, with 200 being considered low. So how much lower can his go? He does not need to be on a heart healthy soy diet. He doesn't need to be on a high cholesterol beef and pork diet. He needs to have adequate medical care, and because of that, I'm going to renew my push to have him put on house arrest, because the Department of Corrections obviously does not care for his life. They obviously do not care for treating him as a human with dignity. They don't feel that way about any of the inmates in there. And even though I have run into some very nice corrections officers, the Department of Corrections itself is shameful, and we need to do something about it. So, got a lot to do. I'm going to have a grilled cheese before my dog Croaker eats it. He's kind of eyeing it right now. Croaker was another one of our rescues. I'm going to show him to you. Say hi, Croaker. Can you say hello? Croaker is a 250-pound Spanish Mastiff, and the way that he came to us is when we had our business at the beach, someone took him there, and they threw his toy in the water and then drove off, and poor little Croaker was trying to go home. Took him into my trailer. In the middle of the night, he was trying to get in pickup trucks and find his owner, and some little old man was just beeping the horn like crazy, so I came out and said, he looks like a nice dog. I'll see what I can do until animal control's open in the morning. So he ate 3 dozen hot dogs, 3 dozen hamburger buns, and then 4 grilled cheese. And from then on, grilled cheese was our special snack. So now that he's looking at mine, I really got to eat it before he does. Have a good afternoon, everybody, and I will talk to you soon.